welcome to Behind the Curtain. My name is Emily Garvin, and I am the Executive Director of the Marilyn Rodman Performing Arts Center. The Marilyn Rodman Performing Arts Center is a nonprofit theater located in the heart of Foxboro. We are a regional theater dedicated to providing performing arts opportunities to our community. Here at Behind the Curtain, I'll be introducing you all to the key members of our organization who work behind the scenes to operate all of our theater and events. You'll be introduced to board members, volunteers, and special guests, as well as introduced to events that are coming up in our forecast. To start off each show, I would like to introduce some of the events that we are excited about presenting to our community. Our first event is coming up on October 26th. It's a Saturday at 7:30 p.m. We are going to be hosting a Halloween bash with the band Magnus, which is an 80s and 90s cover band. Come wearing your favorite costume for a chance to win first prize at our costume contest, or come as you are. Beer and wine cash bar will be served, and there is also appetizers that we will serve at the event. Our next event will happen on Sunday, November 3rd. We have the Edwards Twins. You'll get to see them perform celebrity impersonations of Billy Joel, Elton John, Neil Diamond, Lionel Richie, Stevie Wonder, and more. This is an amazing show all the way from Vegas. The Boston Globe raves a must-see show, and the Today Show says it's one of the most extraordinary shows we have ever seen. The Edwards Twin will put on a show you do not want to miss. Limited number of seats available at MarilynRodmanPerformingArtsCenter.org. Our next segment of the show is where we would like to introduce to you one of our key volunteers. Each week we would introduce to you a volunteer that is helpful at our theater. Volunteers are the backbone of our community theater, and we would not be able to operate without them. Here with us today we have Sumner Brown.
Hi, Emily.
Hi, Sumner. So Sumner, how did you get involved here at the Marilyn Rodman Performing Arts Center?
So in, I think 2017, I was in High School Musical at the theater. And I loved it. It was like, because I used to do theater there, but then I hadn't been there in so long, and I was like, it's great to see the place up and running again. So I wanted to get involved and see how well it could do, and yeah.
Awesome. And what kinds of things do you do when you volunteer at the theater?
I do a lot. I go through Lost and Found, I make copies, I paint the stage, make popcorn. I do a lot of really fun stuff.
Awesome. And then if you could summarize kind of the environment that we have at the Marilyn Rodman Performing Arts Center, what would you say?
I'd say it's like a really loving and fun community, because I know if there's anything wrong in my life, I can always go to someone there, because it's like, it's just one big family, and it's like a second home for me.
I agree. Thank you so much for all of your volunteering at the theater. Seriously, we would not be able to do it without you.
Thank you. It's a great opportunity.
The Marilyn Rodman Performing Arts Center is a nonprofit organization, and like all nonprofits, we would not be able to run without our board. The next segment of our show is dedicated towards introducing you guys to our board members. Here with us today, I have our executive board member, Jim DeVellis, who is the president of our organization.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks for having me.
No problem. What is your role with the theater?
My role, if you had asked me this weekend, I think it was making popcorn and coming back the next morning to clean and sweep up the popcorn because you were on vacation.
I was.
But I think on a broader note, the executive board or the full board, our role on the big picture is to run the Orpheum or the Marilyn Rodman Center as a business in perpetuity. So we pay the mortgage, we find ways to negotiate insurance, come up with protocol, things like that. And on a lower level, things like hiring yourself as the executive director, where you're there on a day-to-day basis, making sure the theater is run properly, you're getting new shows, you're running it like a business. So on a broad picture, it's just kind of overlooking the whole business to make sure it continues.
And usually with a nonprofit, the board isn't in charge of the day-to-day things like you were saying, but you've taken a big part in the day-to-day things going on at the theater. So want to share with us some of the things that you do that help us run our theater every day?
Sure. So we just went through a transition. So we took a theater that is almost 100 years old. In the last couple of weeks, we cleaned it. It's been painted, a little bit of everything just to brighten it up. As it goes forward, we put our eggs in a basket with our executive director to make sure you're forward thinking, and that's what we want. Somebody that, like yourself, has a good business sense, has a background in the arts, you went to school for it, and kind of a complete picture that understands community and what it means to be a community theater.
Awesome. And how do you think the Maryland Rodman Performing Arts Center impacts the community?
It impacts it in a positive way, and I think two different ways. We've been running it for 2 years now, just about 2 years, and in that short period, we've had hundreds of groups and events come through the doors. One of our responsibilities, and the reason that we're a nonprofit, is we have a responsibility to give back to the community. So a lot of the events that we have, we will run at cost or sometimes even lose money on for the benefit of community give back, like the church groups or civic groups that come in, or groups with disabled, or things like that, that it gives them the opportunity to grow without a big investment. And I think, so that's our regional draw, is to service the community. And I think more specifically to Foxboro, and I think that we have a board of 15 people, and I think across the board people feel this way. We had an old building, and we have a downtown that used to be the center, and now it's just a pass-through. So we've taken the step to, in a society where it's easier to knock things down than to take care of them and rebuild them and reuse them, I think we're making an effort to restore something and keep it going. We've got intergenerational, we've got grandparents coming back to see their grandchildren play in a theater that they used to when they were little. So you can't buy that. So I think giving back to the community on a local level like that and preserving something, preserving the past to benefit the future, is something that is a huge benefit.
Absolutely agreed. And thank you so much for all that you guys do. The board is essential to running the Maryland Rodman Performing
And
Arts
thank
Center.
thank you for your time. And there's a bright future. And we look. If I could just say one thing, if somebody wants to come to the theater, running a 100-year theater is difficult because people want a little bit maybe more bells and whistles and comfort. But when you support a show that goes on, you support the group that's doing it, but you support the theater in whole, and it's definitely worth the trip.
Definitely is.
So thanks,
Thank
Emily.
you, Jim. There are so many stories behind our awesome theater. We have so many amazing people who have donated their time, services, and skills to help make our theater a better place to perform and watch shows. The Real Story is a segment of our show where we would like to highlight some of these key people who have made our theater a better place. Today we have Dave Dean, who spent many hours making our 35mm projector working again.
Hello, Emily.
Hi, Dave. How long did it take you to fix the 35mm projector?
Actually, the projector is really three components. It is the projector head, which allows film to go through the projector to create an image on the screen. The sound head, a separate component that takes a soundtrack off of the film, and then a lamp house that provides high intensity light to project a small frame on a 40-foot screen. So the whole process of working in those three components is probably 2 months. And part of the project was to restore the projector, which that was a movie theater for years and years, back to operation, remove some equipment in the booth to put a control room in for FCA. And so by the time we finished and were able to demo a film on the screen, it was about 2 months.
Oh, wow. And is this the first one that you've restored, or have you restored other projectors
Oh,
in the
no.
past?
I have restored a number of projectors that, going from 16mm, by the way, I have a sample of that, well, not 16 millimeter, 35mm film, which is what we have at the theater, and then 70mm film, which is used in theaters as well. But I've restored a number of them, and my latest project actually is with a theater in Woonsocket, where I removed a number of 35mm equipment out of that theater that I'm restoring right now.
So you have a background in film and projection?
Actually, my career was a systems engineer with on IBM mainframe communications for airlines and financial companies. And a lot of those skills I used, and more as a hobby, working on projection equipment in theaters. I was a projectionist for many years, worked for General Cinema Corporation, National Amusements, and even in the Army. When I was at Fort Jackson, I took a small training session on 35mm projectors.
That's awesome. Well,
It's a hobby, and I love film. So.
Me too. And I cannot wait to show the community the 35mm projector that we're going to be playing some movies on very soon.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Dave.
Thank you.
And finally, my favorite section of our show is the segment where we will be introducing to you guys the great things that we're doing to give back to our community. You may recognize him from working concessions, selling ice cream outside of the Marilyn Rodman Performing Arts Center, or even on stage with the Sharing the Spotlight program. We would like to introduce John Underwood and his father here today, Ed Underwood, with John's Dream Ice Cream.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So Ed, how did you guys come up with the idea and why did you start John's Dream Ice Cream?
So, you know John pretty well. He's had epilepsy since he was 3, and he has an intellectual developmental disability. He still has seizures most nights, but he's going to turn 22 in January, and he's going to be leaving the school system. So we started thinking about things for him to do. And John really enjoys people, as you know very well, and he enjoys selling things. He's always sold Christmas trees at the Christmas tree lot and for the Boy Scouts and a few other things. And so ice cream carts seemed to be the perfect thing for him. So we started selling ice cream this past June.
That's awesome, and I know that you guys support a charity, so would you like to go into some detail about what John's Dream Ice Cream supports?
Sure. We're using the ice cream cart as an epilepsy awareness tool, and thus the purple color, which is the epilepsy awareness color. He is supporting the Epilepsy Foundation New England through his ice cream cart. As a matter of fact, he's about ready to write his first check to them at the end of this month at an epilepsy walk down in Rhode Island. He'll be writing a check for $3,500 to them.
That's amazing. And so I'm assuming that you chose the Epilepsy Foundation because he has epilepsy?
Yep, because he has epilepsy, and they have a lot of great family support programs. He's participated in camps with the Epilepsy Foundation, horseback riding camps, sailing camps, a lot of great things. So it's been a great organization. They also fund a lot of research, so it just seemed like a really good cause to support.
That's awesome. And do you want to just go into some detail about how John's getting involved in the theater and using John's Dream Ice Cream at the theater?
Sure. He's been, he loves shows. We've been to a lot of shows at the theater over the years. He also enjoys the JC's shows on the Commons during the summertime. And he was involved in the Inspiration Theater, the Little Mermaid show. He had a couple of roles in that, and that was a lot of fun. And he's going to be participating in the upcoming Christmas show, the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I think you guys are doing. So he's looking forward to that with rehearsal starting soon.
That's awesome. And he's been doing a great job working concessions, selling ice cream at some of our shows. So
Yep.
Definitely be on the lookout. You'll see John and Ed with John's Dream Ice Cream at our theater many times throughout the year. Thank you so much for coming in and talking to us.
Thank you.
To wrap up our show today, we would like to present you with 3 trivia questions. You can comment on our social media page when we post this video for a chance to win 2 free tickets to an upcoming Marilyn Rodman Performing Arts Center event. Questions are as follows. What day is the Halloween Bash? What did Dave Udine fix? What does John's Ice Cream support? The show will be posted on all of our social media platforms, so remember to comment your answers for a chance to win those free tickets. Thank you guys so much for joining us today on Behind the Curtain. Join us next time to learn more about all of our volunteers, board members, real story, and events coming up at the Marilyn Rodman Performing Arts Center. And be sure to visit www.marilynrodmanperformingartscenter.org to find out all of the things happening at our theater.